So 3, 2, 1. Go.
How can we use technology in building personal traits for young people?
I think the answer would be, how can we not use technology? Because technology is so relevant to young people and such an integral part of their lives that youth work has to employ technology, at least in some way, in order to be relevant for those young people that use our services and are in contact with us. It's all about convenience, it's all about reachability, and it's all about communicating with young people in a level and in a method that they actually understand. It's of course a challenge when you start implementing using digital services with young people, because this form of communication and this kind of culture is not so familiar to us. It's not such an integral part of our lives. So we have to adapt to how young people use the technology and go with that flow. Some very practical solutions would be just employing social media as a way of communicating with young people. Some would be enriching the communication and the capacity building that we already do using digital technology. But it always depends on the situation. It always depends on the young people that are in contact with us. So you have to really be adaptable.
Great. Second question. What are the practical techniques for designing and incorporating technology in youth development programs?
I think the practical techniques are always, they start with looking at the bigger picture. You have to look at what our resources are in terms of what people are working within our respective organizations. It's about what skills we have. Do we actually have the competencies to pull off a successful digital intervention or digital model of working with young people? It's a matter of looking at the stakeholders that are financing our services, that are interested in what we do, and what are the secondary beneficiaries from all the digital work that we do. And practically, you have to, when you look at the big picture, you have to figure out where the digital workflow and the digital means of working actually fit into this. So we can't lose sight of the original goals that we have, but rather support them with the technology. So I would start at looking at the bigger picture in practice.
Good question. What are the main dangers of modern technology on young people?
I think the dangers are the same as with everyday life in general, because young people themselves don't make the distinction between offline and online lives, or offline and online communication. It's about conducting themselves in a respectful manner. It's about conducting themselves in a way that they will be safe and that will be a positive development for them. Of course, overdoing anything is always a risk. If you only play football 12 hours a day, it's probably not good for you either, as it is with online technology as well. There are, of course, inherent dangers. I think adults, parents, educators often think that the problem is that you can't control everything a young person does online. But I don't think we can always control what young people do in real life either. So it's a matter of educating them to stay safe, to stay moderate in whatever they do, and to conduct themselves in a way that they can themselves be proud of one day.
Can you please talk to us about your personal experience in working with young people?
I've had about 15 years experience of working first directly with young people in open youth houses in Helsinki. Then I worked with media education projects. I worked with youth participation, and most recently I've been working with training youth workers mostly. So I'm not directly involved with young people anymore, but rather I'm heavily involved in developing this digital field of youth work. But what it always comes back to me is asking the right questions. And that's probably one of the skills I've had since I became a youth worker, just asking young people the right questions to get them to also reflect on whatever their issue or topic is at the moment. And it's actually the same with youth workers, even when you're training them. It's about asking, what do you want to do with digital technology? What do you want to achieve with your young people that you work with? So that's what it always comes back to me.
The fifth question: what are the main questions answered in the youth work bootcamp?
I think the main question is, should youth work be professional? We had a very interesting discussion on it yesterday and the day before even, whether there is a need for a professional mandate for youth work. And we've discussed a lot about how youth work actually acts as a mediator, as a middleman towards young people, towards adults, towards society in general. And I think the youth workers in this region are in a perfect place to define for themselves what that actually means for them, how their role is going to be in the future, working as the mediator with young people and society. And I think it's for me very exciting to be at least a little part of this process of bringing this or starting this process in this region.
If you are to give one advice to leaders working with youth, what would that be?
Think of youth work goals and ask the right questions at the right time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ilha. That was good. Good.